Okay, good afternoon traders. Welcome to TradeSetup in the live stream for the 27th of April. Hope we're all doing well today. Having a nice old day there. The markets are pretty much neutral, I think, as I last remember. Let me just quickly check. Yeah, up about 3 points. So, hope we're doing well. For anyone that's new, we've got actually a few things to cover today, but anyone that's new, you've got the top left-hand corner. You can follow us at Twitter. Join us at Facebook, the top right-hand corner address, and just link into us on YouTube. Just a few things I want to discuss before we get into it. First thing, we're looking at potentially moving one of these day streams to a night stream. We've had a bit of interest in doing something at night, and thought potentially we could move, say, the Thursday at 12:30 session, which is now, till probably somewhere around 6:30. So if anyone has any ideas, if they're interested in that, or even if you've got friends that you know may be interested in sitting down and listening once a week at night, we just want to give that a bit of a test run because there's been, like I said, a bit of interest there. And I think a few people who want to join in live, just having a few issues with work. Obviously, you can't sit there at work looking at a stream, listen to me babbling on, but there is potential to do that. So feel free, if you think it's a good idea, just send it into chat there, or if you listen to this video later, just send us an email to support@tradesetup.com.au just to let us know. Also, what we're looking at doing, I don't know if anyone knows much about Meetup. Meetup is like a group. You can go link into different Meetup groups, which could be trading, could be pretty much anything. There's different groups in there, but we've got one going on the Trade Direct 365, and we're looking at doing a talk on a bit of a presentation. So we're going to hook up to the Meetup group, but we'll try to get that through the app. So you'll see something pop up down the track, probably in a week or two, more likely a couple of weeks once we get this, we get it organised and do a bit of a presentation on market structure and how we trade and what we look for. So a lot of the stuff we'll probably go over, a lot of you have heard about, but what we'll do is put the presentation in a more structured manner. Might even see if we can get Davin in to just have a bit of a chat too. Let him, if he's listening now, he's a bit of a guru, so we'll get him to jump in and have a chat, and I'll do some talking about what we look for and pretty much why we look for it. So that will be soon, so keep an eye out for that. Well, that's it just for now. What we'll do today is it's going to be less based around just what we're looking at, and more just based around what, if you've got any questions on different charts. And we'll put up a couple of trades. I've got one that I was speaking to someone out of the stream. We speak a bit. I was speaking to him yesterday, and he reminded me about a company that I sent an alert for. Now, that company is rocketed, but dropped the ball, so we'll go over that. Dropped the ball, and I didn't follow up on it. It's a beautiful little setup, so I want to go through that with you. Even though we missed it, I think it's really worth going through and taking a look at that and where the setup would have occurred. And I'll show you the initial alert that we sent out for TradeSetup clients. And we've just got a couple of others, and I think Paul sent me an email. If you're listening, Paul, I think it was on Coke. Now let me just make sure of that. Oh, here we go. Paul, Bank of Queensland. So we'll just take a look at that trade too. There's been a few that we've just been chipped out of lately, and whether it's just holding stops to, Bank of Queensland. Cool, Paul. Yeah, we'll have a look at that. I realise we've got the dividend too, so it made it all right, but I don't know where it's trading at. I'm one of those guys, as soon as we get stopped out, I crack the sads and walk away from it. I'll come back a bit later on when I've calmed down, but I haven't seen where that's trading at the moment. I'm guessing it's back up there, which would make it nice. And we've got another one. API is one we'll discuss in a minute. Just how that chipped us out just below the high low. It chipped us out and then pretty much took off. It's taken off today. It's really busted through the highs. So that's a bummer. That was a small gain, but it could have been a lot better. And the structure still looks good. So anyone that's actually holding it, it's worthwhile just keeping a hold of it and just see how it goes. 11.94. So I think we got done at about 11.70 something was the open. Let me just quickly have a look there. 11.70. So it was the open of that day. Yeah, it probably was. So that's where you've got to help me, Paul, with my dividends. Anyway, let's get into it. I'll just minimise this, and what I'll do is get my beautiful face on there. I might be the only one that thinks that, but hey, there we go. Now let's just get into it. Let's just get up a couple of charts there. Yeah, market up 3. It did open flat. Was expecting it to open flat after the US. I think, I just got to remember what was going on there. So what's the biggest thing in the US at the moment, and the way I see it anyway, is more about, this market's pushed up on the back of the tax reform. So to continue to do that, that's awesome. Fitness frenzy, that's great. That's really good. That's kicking on really strong. That's another one that's going beautifully. We've got CCP, which has chipped us out today at 18.25, but I'll go through some of the alerts we've got going at the moment. No, I like them. They're going nicely. There's a few that give me the irrits, but they look like they're in good spots too. They're in good areas for continuation. So just trying to see what we've got. But anyway, like I said, the biggest thing I think in what's happening in the US is really the tax reform, the news. So we're driven. I was talking to someone today about it. A bit of the buy the rumor, sell the fact, and where the market gets set up for different things. So you've got to. It's not only trying to be an analyst of the market; it's trying to be a trader of the market too. In my opinion, you're either an analyst or not either. But people get stuck analysing markets from an economic point of view. But what I think you should look at it more from a trading perspective too, because I think they're ideally two different things. Speaking to someone today about an analyst would come in and analyse what's going on. A trader would look at that and then just look at see how the market's reacted to it. Is it, say for instance, when the Trump got elected, every time there was talk about him being the president, the market would get hammered. And then Clinton, when there was talk of her winning, when she was sort of taking a lead or it was looking good for her, then the market would pop up. Now, you'd expect from that, if whoever got elected, you'd expect that to continue. But what happened, Trump got elected and the markets just took off ever since. So it was a bit of seemed like a bit of a setup. So as a trader, you'd be looking at that going, it was a bit of a setup of a trade and the market's taken off. So what's kicked it up higher? It's on the back of tax reform and the potential for that, So we're looking at the future. We're not looking behind. So we're not looking at, okay, the tax reform's happening now. It should be good for the market. It could potentially come into effect and the market sell off. So the opposite of what we expect. So you've got to line that up with what's been talked about in the past and what we're expecting to happen. And is the market overbought, oversold? What's the potential going forward? Not now, but what's the potential going forward, taking into account what's happened in the past. So that seems like a bit of a rant, but so that's why I think the market last night, now I think on the release, so what they're looking at now, I think what traders are looking at now, so anyone that's sort of positioned long on the back of tax reform, the potential for it to be good, is sitting there just wondering, and they want more details. I think that's what the market's waiting for now. Now they're coming out saying this is what we're going to do, but there's no underlying substance behind what they're saying, I guess. So there's no more details than what they've had in the past. So they're talking about tax cuts, but like I said in the morning report, where they're going to get the funds from, there's going to be a massive spike in they need to pay for that somewhere. So that income, they're going to reduce it. What's going to happen? Where they're going to get to subsidise that, what they've lost in tax revenue. So there's a few things. I think the market will be looking at that and what's going to happen to companies going forward. Company reporting's been pretty good. So there's a bit on the cards at the moment. And for me, continuation high is only going to be fueled by, I guess, short covering at the moment. But there could be a bit of a shift at the moment. So I think it's something you just got to keep an eye on. And I'm finding that with our alerts where what we're getting, sorry, I've got my coffee poised. We're getting some good runs, but they're not all going high, and they've got, some of them have got the same structure, and one's getting sold, one's getting bought up. That happens anyway, but generally when the market's really positive, they go up a lot easier, and you can find 9 or 10 stocks which go really nicely. At the moment, what we can make on one, we're losing on another, and we're sort of a bit floundering. We're creeping higher on the overall portfolio, which is good. I know some people are really struggling at the moment, and that's the name of the game. You just want to keep edging higher and minimise any losses, any downturn that you may see. So, it seems like sometimes the market can be a bit choppy. So generally the market's flat today and our portfolio's going okay. So we're actually kicking away. So, it's a bit of a mixed market, but always keeping in mind what could be happening. So what we'll do now is just take a look at the US. I've got the what's everyone's views on it, by the way. What are we seeing happening? What we sent out in the US as I'll just get it up. So this here was an alert. When was this? Let me just check the date on this. 26. It was only a few days yesterday. I didn't think I sent that out yesterday. All right, so I see there's potential for a bit of a short squeeze on that one. And what I mean, we've spoken about this before. There's quite a few short positions that are built up, and you can see that. So we've got an initial leg up, which we've marked out here, expansion up, and then we've got contraction lower. So you know that there's a few shorts jumping in here. We've got a lower high in here, which led to a bit of selling. Potentially some more shorts built in this lower high here, but it's held up. So what you're starting to see now is that higher low build, and that higher low has led to a break up through that 23.77. So what we're seeing is this long-term contraction. So originally the same process happened here. We alerted to this a long time ago when we saw the shorts were stacked up, and when you got a lot of shorts stacked up, there's a lot of people positioned the same way. If they get it wrong, and if you see a good setup for the opposite direction, there's enough fuel for a good solid, potentially a new leg higher, or at least a good solid strong move higher. And that's what you're always looking for. When we go from expansion, when markets expand, they've got to contract no matter what the deal is with fundamentals or technicals. There's going to come a time where people are going to profit take. There's going to be a bit of contraction, and then you're looking for that potential zone where you're moving back into expansion, so there could be another leg higher. Obviously, initially, when you get into the unknown, you've got a few resistance levels to contend with. But if this market pushes up through 2400 and keeps holding higher lows, there's no serious resistance on board there. I think it's actually clear skies from there. So, sorry, just reading your point. So, if there's no real resistance, this thing could just really keep swallowing up those short positions, because everyone's, I do know that people get caught up in just shorting it because it's overextended, whatever view it is, but there's no reason why things can't keep getting overextended. So sooner or later is going to come a time when the market's going to shift and it's going to roll over. We don't know. We're just trying to anticipate that, but you trade from the charts, you try to anticipate that. And what I mean by anticipating is really, if you're going long, you're protecting yourself. Probably tightening things up a bit, which is what I'm tending to do at the moment. Just tightening things up, like we said, Paul, with that Bank of Queensland. Just tightening that stop up. Obviously, I got caught on that one. But if the market tipped over, then I've got a tight enough stop. I've got my risk tight enough where I'm not going to get hammered too much. But there are times when, say, for instance, if you can see down here on the S&P, when you think, this thing looks really good, it can really go into expansion, you might want to just have your risk a bit looser. So when it does pull back, you're not going to get caught out and miss out on a good leg up, which happened pretty much through here, below 2300 all the way to 2400. So that was a great move on the S&P. But anyway, back to what we're looking at now. That market has kicked higher since that alert. It's spiked up into that 2400 mark. Didn't quite hit it, a couple of points shy, but we're still holding that trend up. So if we just break that down to an hourly chart, I'm looking at a 4 hourly, we're still holding higher lows. There's no reason why we can't hold this zone, even contract a bit lower. MAs are still pointing up. You can look at the stochastic. This move down has been quite strong, but it's been bought up. Any selling is being soaked up by the market. So potentially we could be in a zone where we're looking to build that high low and punch through 24. Now, whether we're going to be a bit of a washout of 2400 because you're going to get new buying into new highs and people just chasing the market up, or whether it actually just keeps going, just hold that high low and keep trending higher. That's yet to be seen, but that's something we're just going to keep an eye on. Any questions just on that? But at the moment, for me, that trend is higher. We could potentially, this zone here, once we got that breakout, could be the new, if you go back to that, we'll just minimize this. We've had that leg up here, contraction lower, so we're in a fairly good zone where this could potentially be another extended move higher. We don't know, but that's what we're sort of basing on. Until we fail in this leg up, maybe here in this resistance zone or the all-time highs. If we start failing there, then okay, we'll have to adjust. But for now, just keep betting on the fact that people can get washed out of the market. Let's go to the ASX. ASX is still holding high. We're coming into that resistance of 59.50. Still looking to that push up to 6,000. We're going to have to go down a chart, so I won't bother. Anyone that's been following us knows that we're looking up towards that 6,000. I mean, I'm not the only one. There's been quite a bit of releases looking up for that. Analysts, technicals, whatever, but this market could easily pop up to 6,000, really spike up to some major resistance zone, or it could just fall short at this, have trouble here at 59.50. You can see we're in the same sort of boat. We're overextended to the downside, and that's getting soaked up where potentially we've got a little anchor here. And I'm talking anchor for just this leg up, not a major anchor. The major anchor's down here, all the way down at 57.90 zone, your major longer-term anchor. So really, if that's the case, we get continuation on a longer-term time frame. With that anchor, we're going to be punching up through 59.50. But like I said, this trend is higher lows. You can see that. Expand up, contraction, go into expansion, contract. That was a bit hard to trade that one because it actually opened high and pulled back. But we were looking for that, not as deep a pullback, but looking for that just after the open, really suck in a few sellers and then start going again. Held that. Just in here, for anyone that's looking at this chart, that's missing some data. So there's a bunch of data. We had just a couple of issues with the charting package. Prices were there, tradable, but just flowing through to the chart. So we're going to have to, or maybe on the weekend, just reload all that data into there. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that anchor there is at 59.07. We're just retesting that today. We'll just see if this can hold up, and it's looking like it's holding up at the moment, but if we can get a bit of a pop-up into the close and then the US kicks on tonight, that will drag us higher, but we'll just have to see how it plays out. Any questions there, guys? Yeah. No, I just read what you're saying there, Paul. I'm exactly of that thinking now. People are just waiting to see, what he's going to do and if he's going to deliver. He's got to get it through Congress. He's got to get it approved. So all this talk and this hype about tax, it's still, it's just something that they're keeping an eye on. Now, patience is a big thing for trader. Everyone's got different patience levels and tolerance, I guess. I'm not very patient with my trading, but if you're looking at holding something and you're getting a bit impatient, sooner or later they're just going to take it off, especially if they start seeing this market run into a bit of resistance, potentially roll over. It could obviously suck people in, but people might start to take a bit of profit, take something off the table, looking to reassess, and if it does find another base and go again, they may have to give up a bit of profit, but every move's got a bit of it's got some time element to it as well. You don't just sit there holding something forever if it's doing nothing. Because the less it continues, like if price doesn't continue higher and it keeps running up against resistance and you start getting a bit choppy, consolidating, that tends to bring in a bit of selling. And even if it just sells, builds a higher low and then goes again, so be it. But if it does do that, pulls back, you get that selling coming to the market, people can always reassess it and buy into that higher low or maybe give up a bit of profit to be on the safe side. But yeah, like I'm trying to say, it's just a lot of moves have a time component which people tend to forget about. Just the time of doing nothing. Yeah. Look, it's going to, but I think what I don't know. It's hard to assess because everyone thinks this bull market. So the more people that do that, there's more people selling into it, which is potential fuel to get squeezed out. Sometimes those things just come out of the sidelines, which something could happen to trigger it that we're not expecting. So, but you just got to keep your protection in place, keep your risk in place, and just keep an eye on things. Always reassess them day to day or week to week, however you look at it. Now, I'll go through a couple of charts. Now, is everyone in agreement with me on this these markets? You can see this is still just the half. Let's just go to a 4-hourly chart on the ASX. Actually, let's just go to the big ASX, the proper XJO. That is your daily. Well, actually, that's your weekly. So that weekly is still, in my mind, still looking good. Had a good contraction low that's boarding some buying. We're holding higher lows. We're still holding trend up. It's going up to that 6,000 mark. I'm just looking for that at least push up, and even if it's a run up into 6,000 or that little break of 6,000, dragging a bit of buying and then roll over, potentially another pullback and building that higher low on a major long-term trend. But we'll just have to see. But the dailies are still showing the same type of price action, holding higher lows. So don't go against the flow. You just got to go trade with what you see. Alrighty, let's just go over a few we've got here. You can see this is BWX. We've got this one from $5. So it's just kicked on. So you got that accelerated move higher. I'm really just looking at what's going to happen around this high low. And that's not it. Just come back a bit. I just want to see what reaction is going to happen around that 5, which has just reacted today. It touched on 525, I think was the high. Yeah, trading around 520.22 at the moment. So I wouldn't mind seeing that if I can finish above, this little high here. That would be great. That would be good. That we could be targeting up towards 565. Or, we are starting to get a bit extended. And if you go to the weekly is hovering around that overextended mark. But again, nothing to say we can't keep going. So you've got to just keep that in the back of your mind. You don't sell things because they're overextended. You sell it when it tells you to. When you see the price action, that's really is that break of 480. But I'm just looking for a potential area to start looking to lock in something. Look at locking in a partial, being on the safe side again. So any questions on that one? Feel free to chuck in any questions as we go, guys. Anything at all. What am I looking at here? So API, that's the one I said we had that stop around 2, which was just below that higher low in here. And I would have figured if we got through that, we're probably looking to build that lower high. The only thing against me is that beautiful weekly trend. And looking at that weekly trend, we're getting a bit extended up here, but we could have a bit of a blow off up to 230. Extended move, and then start to roll over. But that price action looks really, really nice on API. We've been in and out of this a few times. I think we got it somewhere in here, and I think that in end of 2015, and we probably got something around here. I can't quite remember. Haven't done too bad. It's just a little, it just does get a bit choppy, and you can see they've got a bit of a history. I'm just trying to look back. Chopping through support, which it just got us. It just caught us on that one, really. Probably could have held it down here, but that holding at 197.5 is just the same as holding it at $2 stop, because it's below a higher low. We're looking for that leg up to continue. It's washed people out and gone straight back up again. So that is a bummer. Well, I like to sit on. It's up to it's everyone's personal preference, I guess, was what percentage you like to get out of. I'm happy just to do half. Lock in half. It makes the trade positive, and then just follow that second half up, because I guess my background comes from the futures. I know Davin used to trade, say, a couple of lots. You might trade 3 or 4 lots on futures, and then he would partial exit, say do 1, 1, 1, 1, and just that last one, the fourth exit, is try to hold as long as you can for that big move, because there's always going to be times when you get out and it just goes on without you. So that's the idea with it. You can divvy it up into thirds, or I like to just think of halves. Take half off generally when it's in the zone there, because just take this one for example. It's pushed up into that 220. If we still had, take half off there at 220 and just see what happens from there. If it does pull back and this thing capitulates, so be it. We could take a small loss, or a break even on the second half. But if it does just ramp through there, then we still got some on it. So it's really just, So like Davin said, the big movers, and what he's always taught me over the years is the big movers is what you want to be on. That's what makes your stats. So if I'm looking at taking my 20 trades and just taking stats on the 20, which we discussed before, maybe 1 out of 20 is a good mover, and that's what makes that 20 profitable. Now you can be profitable over your 20 trades if you've got, say, my edge like sitting around 60% right, 40% wrong. If I'm sitting on 1-to-1, or even slightly higher, and it's 1.5 to 1, I'm profitable over a group of 20. But just being profitable and grinding away is different to really getting those good winners, and that's what you want. So if you get 1 out of 20 on average, and you're on the right side of it, but you don't make the most of it, that can be a bit of a kick in the teeth sometimes when you're seeing. And I've personally had problems in the past with, just taking something off and closing out because I'm happy. Maybe you had a loss previously. You got to forget what's happened in the past and just trade every trade as it is. Just try to stick to your, like Devon said, stick to your edge. What is your edge? When do you get out? What's your plan? And just rinse and repeat each time. So when you get that one that hasn't shown you any reason to get out and it just keeps going on with it, you just follow it up. Don't just cut it for the sake of, you're up. And that's what, with all our alerts we try to do. You just try to follow it. You put your stop, you don't just take off. We've very rarely taken off the second half because we've hit a resistance level. It's more just put it below the high low. And if we get stopped out and we give up something, that's great. Doesn't matter because we're still in profit. But if it goes on without us, if we put it on a limit, a sell on limit, you get tagged on your second half and it just keeps going, you're going to kick yourself. Well, I do anyway. So we'll answer that question. I'll be looking at half. That's what I like to do anyway. If you're trading FX or anything like that, you can split it up differently. If you're trading futures, again, split it up differently. With equities, I like to do half and half. Just make it simple. Because as you've seen, a lot of the times when they run, you generally don't have to worry. So you can take the first half as protection to lock in something. If it just keeps going, they'll just keep trending. When they trend, they tend to just trend without really chopping, taking out like API, taking out this high low and then going again. Anyway, where are we? FBR is another one we got, and that's starting to show some good signs. It's only a small one, so it'd be interesting to see who's actually got it as an alert. When it goes, it brings in the volume, but at the moment it hasn't really. It was just one of those trades you put up because the structure looked really nice. And that is still holding higher lows. It's a bit of a grind, a bit of a struggle. It had really extended up here to 14. A lot of the time, so you can see 3 days up. It's about 6 to 9 days down. And hopefully we just get that push up through 14 and we start attacking those highs at 16. Then that'll work out well. We've also got, that's me, MVF, 191. I think that's starting. If this can continue to hold above 2, the more time people are expecting, okay, let's get overextended here. The weekly's still heading higher. We could just roll over from here, but if it extends, it could just wash out those highs and trade up to 210. That's what I'm waiting for, ideally. I'd like to see if that can extend higher, just kick on with it. Just trying to think what else we got. We got New Farm. That's the one you said. Yeah, 5K. Look, that one's kicking on. That looks really nice. The weekly looks good. I mean, look at that. If you go back to the monthly to try to find some zone, you potentially got. I'm looking for that. If you go back, this is where we just try to take. I think we've spoken about volatility projections. If you take from that low roughly 4 and you take it up that high before we had some sort of correction here, we built another high low in here on the weekly basis. What's that? 4 up to $8.50, $4.50. Go from $6.50. That should take us up to somewhere around the $11 mark. If you're looking at that same rally, a $4 rally, add that. Was it 4? 4 up to, what did I say? 9. Actually, that could be closer to 5. So you're somewhere around 11, $11.50. As a potential target area. So this is still could have a bit of legs in it, this move. And you can see that's looking great there, that extension high. Sooner or later, we're going to probably expect a bit of consolidation, maybe contraction lower, build another high low, and then go again. But we'll just keep an eye on it. Looks really nice. And this curving type of price action is great. It's holding high lows, all within that high, so it's building that energy, and then bang, just take off. And that's when you get that accelerated moves high that go a bit further than you expect. That's a New Farm. That's nice. S32, a bit of a grind there on that one. SSM, we've got that. A bit of a sell-off today. Still holding in there. So we've got our stop down below here. Probably should be moving around the 112 mark, but that could potentially hold a high low. The structure still doesn't look too bad. 3 times up towards that resistance, it's going to start to struggle. It needs a breakthrough soon, I'd say. But we'll see how that goes. That's about it. Any questions just on those before we get into a stupid trade that I've missed? Yeah. Yeah, Paul, no, exactly right. So CCP, what I was really looking for here, you start to get to a stage where, let's just draw it up. Well, not that far back. All right. So let me just get up my drawing tool. SAS, that's right. We'll go over SAS in a minute. So with CCP, that the reasoning behind it all, you can see that chart there. All right, so one, you've got that high right up here. So that's the next high. We've held, these lows, say through 16 or so, and you can see that price has really contracted down, then broke out. And this is, if everyone can see what I'm talking here, you got that high low just there, and that breakthrough. So that's the reasoning why we got in it. Looked great. So you've got this contraction, holding that low at 16, holding lower highs into it. It's really trying to break through. It's getting soaked up, and then you get that breakout and through. So you'd expect expansion now, and that's what we got. It's just coming to a zone just through there, around that 1850. It's just popped its head through there, and I thought, well, and it's getting extended there, so I thought I don't want to give up the chance. If this rolls over from here, there's no reason why it can't just roll over. It still looks good, but it could roll over, pull back. I'm happy to take a partial on that, just to lock it in, because you never know whether that's going to lead to a bit of a washout, what we're seeing yesterday. A bit of a pullback, and then you have another go at it, build that lower high, and then completely fail. That means you'd be targeting back down towards 16 and potentially through it. So always happy to take a partial there. Now, obviously, that was an OCO, so one order cancels the other. Now, if it just continues higher and really starts to spike up around 1975, that was probably a bit of a silly target. It was. I wouldn't have expected it just to go straight up through there. But you never know. So if it did spike up there, great. We'd take it off, take a partial up there, and then just lock in the rest somewhere, once we see the price structure. So that was the reasoning behind it, just trying to lock in a gain there. And really it was, don't lock it in there because it could go on further. But the fact that it dropped down below that today, it's just potentially reacting on off 1850, but we'll have to see how that goes. And the weekly still got more into it. It could just be a bit of a reaction off. We spend a few days of doing nothing, and then bang, we go up and through that 1850 again and just work our way back up towards, and then you're targeting up towards that 20 mark. Yeah, 1825, which is a bummer. Well, it's about there now. It's sort of spiked through there and went straight back up to about 1830 something, I think. But it's hovering around that 1825 zone now. So yeah, we've locked in a partial on that one. SAS is that price action there, and that's extended higher, and you expect when you got that sort of move, some sort of heat to come out of the market. So what you're trying to assess it from there is what's happening. We're holding higher lows for the potential, and this time that it's spent is close to month and a half, close to 2 months. Say right through March, when it spiked up early March, reacted off those highs around 29, 28 and a half, held a high low there, tried to go again, couldn't do it. So you get in a market that's just coming, if you can see that, coming in on itself there, just contracting in. So really you're trying to look for an area to buy into, and that's why we bought it, holding higher lows and spiking through this little level at 24. It's not doing much just at the moment, but the potential that is, nice continuation pattern. If you can see that a bit better, with that spike through that, we call that an inside continuation. So it's within the high, and you can see if you go across those tops, that's just breaking up and through there now. So with this move up here on this candle, up to 25, it's probably just broken out through. I'll probably draw that in. I'll try to draw it in anyway. Yep. All right, so we got that there. You can see, look, there could be a bit of problems there, but we'll just see how that plays out. I like this continuation because it's got the high lows, high low, from here, that original leg up, pull back, holding high lows, which means that buyers are soaking it up, which is a nice, good sign. So look, if this pops up and through 25 now, I think it's on. We'll be looking up towards the highs and then, further. It looks really good. And SAS, the thing is, and Paul, I love it, the fundamentals supporting it are nice. You just go onto the website, the company website, and check it out. But the fundamentals are quite nice. They seem to be kicking goals, which I think is going to support it quite nicely. Yeah, and you can see the MAs like Devin said, we always like to look for things that are getting supported. The MA has got to be up. Trend is holding up. It's supporting it. You know, people look at that type of thing. You can see it's touched down in the MA. That's a 20. Touched again on the 20 and just broken out through that's high. It's looking nice. We'll just see how we go. Now, anything else on those what we're looking at? What I'll go on to now is, I know it's always good tooting our own horn. Tooting our trumpet, I guess you can call it. So that's why I want to go through the ones that are working. And now I'll show you one that we missed, and this is it could be entertaining. But it's good to chat about too. Now this one here, TLG, I'm just trying to remember where we alerted it. I'll just bring up the alert. So we sent out an alert on TLG. Now, it was somewhere around here. So if you don't know why I'm kicking myself, that's gone from, say, 40 to 80. That's 100% gain, you know, over the last month and a half. So, and that was a cracker. That's really, if we just bring best fit. So you can see that price structure through there. It's just, it really is nice. And anyone that was following this, I admit I did drop the ball for some reason. I just didn't follow up on it. Ready for the entry, which really should have been there. It was a nice little entry. Here we go. So we were looking at the weekly chart. I'll show you that in a second. It was around through here. So just on this pullback, on this, basically this first green candle is when we send out the alert, and you can see what's happened from there. So that's the actual alert, and those candles there, that was on the second week, and it just took off from there. Now that corresponds to, on the daily, is just in this zone here. So if we draw that up, and why we like that price structure, I guess just looking at it before we draw it, you can see. Can everyone see that quite clearly? These candles on the stream. Otherwise, I can just magnify it a bit. I'll have a coffee while you're catching up. So I can draw it up. I just wanted to show you that we basically got, you know, moved down. I don't know if that's all of it. Oh, on the weekly, it shows up nicely. So you've got that move up to 40, pull back, and then we started just, you know, bouncing around between, was it 17.5 and 40, and you can see that quite clearly on the weekly chart. So that's nice. That's a nice high low on a weekly basis at 17.5. So when you get into this type of price structure, if we just want to magnify that a bit. So I'll go on the weekly. Yeah, cool. Now, there you go. Just trying to see. So that weekly, that looks great. So that's what we're looking for. Okay, it's quite clear. If you're looking at it at this stage, you're not, forget about what's happening here. We're looking at this stage. That looks quite nice. Okay, we don't know which way it's going. It's still holding some lower highs. So that's why, obviously, you know, we go through and start drawing on all the lines. And then you get that bust up to, that push up through here, back up to 40. So that's a nice little sign. Either it's just consolidating. You don't know how long it's going to consolidate. So even at this stage, once we start looking at the market here, we're not exactly sure what's going to happen. It could just keep range trading. We don't know. Now, this is where you get it, a higher low, which holds within that range, a nice high low. And don't forget, this is the weekly chart. That's an awesome little setup. Okay, so just on a weekly, you can see the market starting to contract in on itself. And that's what you want to see. So just trading it from a weekly basis, if you bought it on a breakthrough 32.5, your first port of call is up at 40. But if you just got your resist, you know, you've got a 2-to-1 trade just there on a weekly chart, just by buying it through that break. And you know that overall longer term structure, that price action, just put up a question if you're not following. But that's what we always want to see. So you're getting that bouncing between, and then you've got a confirmation of a higher low. And that confirmation is just with a push out of contraction to the upside. Okay, and that's where we're always trying to look for, you know, it's like putting the story together, just putting the picture together. You've got your major high low at 17.5. Then we're building another longer term high low, potentially at 25 or thereabouts, and we're holding another little high low in here, and then the market's still holding lower highs. And as soon as it, so really just looking for each way, is it going to break down? In this case, it actually broke up. So if we were looking at it for a break, actually we'll delete that and draw that in red. if you can get to where I'm coming from, that's the low. At this stage here, if it broke on this red candle, just kept pushing down through that low, okay, we're broken to the bottom side, and we could be heading for just another retest of that low, which probably happened, in here with this breakdown and so on. But the fact that it's holding the higher lows and lower highs, okay, at that stage, each way bet, and then we break up to the top. So that's confirmation of this as a major higher low in context of this major high low. So everything is starting to stack up on the upside. Okay, and then you've got this little push up. So this is what's attracted our attention, really. That last little bit here is what we were looking at, and then we started looking at on this candle here. So we'll go back down to a daily in just a second, so you can see that price action, in my eyes, was just ideal. High low, you got the breakout to the top side through 40 cents. Now that is a definite heads up of really start to take note of what's happening on the daily basis. And if we can just break that down a bit, even just focusing on this is the daily that we're talking about, this type of price action. Draw that up. Is that making sense there, guys, anyway? So that's the break up through 40. That's our resistance level. We've got that break up here, and we start contracting lower. So you're looking for another higher low to hold on a daily. You've got one down here somewhere. Can't remember exactly where it was. You've got a weekly high low, a break through the highs. You're expecting some sort of contraction. So we're looking for that expansion. So we want a market that's going from contraction into expansion. We're trying to put ourselves in a high probability area to trade. Sounded like a stutter, but yeah, a high probability zone with all our ducks lined up. And that would have been a nice little trade straight through with a push back up through, what that is about 41, 42. And you can see that the market has confirmed that. And the beauty of that trade too, we're coming off that high low. We're breaking out of that structure, broken up. You're holding another high low here. So you can see how everything just seems to repeat on a lower scale. You can easily define your entry with a break up through here. You're sort of front running that break through 42.5. And in hindsight, that's turned out absolutely beautiful. And you've probably got a potential push up through. You could have bought it through a push at 61. But ideally, that's where we should have bought that. And that's where we dropped the ball. So I just thought I'd show you that, guys. Any questions on that? But it's always interesting, even when you, like I said, even when you miss something, if you can go back through it, it's the beauty of having hindsight in your favour. But it's always good just to go back and mark up a few things just to see how it played out. Whether you would have been right at the very least, if you couldn't make money out of it, what would have happened? And you see, for me, that was a beautiful little trade. That we didn't take. So yeah, that would have led to some nice little gains on that. It's called Telga Resources. It's TLG. So we sent the alert out on. That was the weekly alert. It was the 28th of March, so it was just over a month ago. About a month ago we sent that, and then forgot. So sorry about that. Anyway, anything you want to chuck up there, guys? Any stocks you want to have a quick look at? Something that you're looking at yourself? You got anything, Will, you just want to have a chat about, Paul? I think we went over everything that I was looking at. Bank of Queensland, did I talk about that? Yeah, so that Bank of Queensland, if you go to a weekly, look, it still looks quite nice. Potential for that to be a higher low zone at around 11.25 off the weekly. So you can see you have to go down a bit. So you've had that contraction lower. That's led to a nice strong move up to, say, 14.50. Contraction lower. That little washout just here of 10 and held above 10 on the close. That's on the weekly anyway, on the end of the week. It washed out the previous low, closed in a high, and that led to a little move up through, and that's a key, through 11.50, say, this little high here. And then potentially this is another high low. It's not confirmed until we get that push up through 12.50. So market could easily pop out down the bottom, but that in conjunction to what's happened in the past, that price action looks very nice on a weekly basis anyway. So just going down to the daily, I mean, you can see that's a washout of 10. That's lead. We're starting to hold the high lows. Looking good. That's where we got caught on that dividend. Still made a profit, I think, in the end. But it would have been a bit nicer just to see if we can hold that and can kick on with it. But it still looks quite nice. MMJ. That doesn't look too bad. What is that? I can't even say that, to be honest. Phytotech Limited. You're picking something that I can't talk about. So obviously there's something that's coming here, some news flow back at the start of the year that's really kicked it on high. It's gone from, 20 to 80 cents. So that's really accelerated high. So at first glance, with this type of price action, a bit of heat's got to come out of the market. There's something that's triggered that higher, good news flow. Pick something easier next time, Will. Anyway, it's got marijuana. So that's had a good kick up. Actually, we were looking at this. I didn't get on board any of that marijuana stuff at that time. I don't know why I missed it, because there's some really nice technical setups from a technical point of view, and what we look at. Tongue-tied. Everyone's picking on me today. That's it. I'm packing my bags. I'm going home. I'm already home anyway. I've lost it. So what we're seeing with this one is obviously had a good strong move up. So you'd want to see a bit of heat. So there's people who are bought in here that are not going to want to give up some profit. With the idea, even if you took a partial and you just look for a re-entry this, your second half, if it starts to confirm a high low somewhere around 45, even if it's around 60. Confirms that high low, starts rocketing up, and then you can get back into that second half. Or if people have got out of the whole lot because it's done, it's pushed up, it's had a good little high low in here, that's led to some accelerated move. It's become really good. So now with these sorts of things, these good moves up, they've got to start producing the goods. I don't know what the news flow's been like since on this company or any of them, but in saying all that, what we'll just drill down on. So we just got to keep in mind what I'm trying to say is, we're on a daily, is that there could be some heat to come out of that market, but also this is a bit like is it SAS? So we've got a high low in here, and potentially that's led to that move up through the highs at 75. Really just washed out those highs, built another little minor lower high at 77.5 after that high there, and we got another lower high just in here at 70 or thereabouts. But the selling has been soaked up. All right, we don't know just yet. The market's in an overextended zone just here, so maybe we'll just draw it up. Here we go. So we've got a little, I think around 57.5. I'd like to see it just say pop up through 65, and that will be more confirmation that the buyers are happy to step in up here. They're happy to step in around 60. They could be thinking it's going to $2. Who knows? Above $1. We don't know what they're thinking, but that would be, and it looks like with the stochastics, we're in that zone where, okay, it could be overextended to the downside. So it's taken a bit of effort to get it down here, but it is showing initial signs of holding up above 57.5. But for me, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it on a limit. I want confirmation. Confirmation is probably a push up through 65. If we're going to look at this one, push up through 65 and then look for your little entry. Does that make sense there? Do you believe me? It's all about belief. All right. Anything else? If any more questions on that one, there will. But it's showing some good signs. Do you have that in your portfolio at the moment? Are you holding? Are you looking to get in? Just trying to see where everything is at the moment. API, yeah, we talked about that. BWX going strong. BWX is looking good for a close above 525 with any luck. And we're going to quite enjoy that if it does. S32, I thought that'd do a bit better today. But that's still looking quite good of holding. It's still holding high lows. And if it pops up through this little high on S32, what's that? High of 285, say, which is only a few cents off, could do today. I think that's going to be a continuation. We're going to start targeting up towards 3. We'll just see how that plays out. Or we could be building that lower high. So you've got to, I guess, good work, Paul. Will. So I know there's a bit of a delay between what you're hearing and what I'm reading and saying. So, AEDT still looking good. Like I said, this could potentially be that lower high, and a double top up here, but ideally that looks quite good. I like that little move. It's still holding. It could punch up through $3. Could just have a washout move to say 310.20. We don't know, but definitely just something to keep an eye on. How's that going? That's not doing us any favours just at the moment. Not great volume either. All right, anything else you want to have a quick look at? So if anyone else just missed earlier on, we are looking to do the stream at nights on a Thursday night. And if anyone's interested in that, just put up a time that you might be interested too. I'm thinking around 6:30. I know it could be dinner time for a few, but for me, I get away from the kids for an hour, so I'm quite happy to do it. My kids are beautiful. Not really. Little devils sometimes. So, we're just thinking about that. Yes, if you're happy, if you think that's not a bad time, and you'd be happy to sit up there at, or even 7 o'clock, or even later. Just pick a time. I'm fairly easy, fairly flexible. But yeah, that's what we're aiming at potentially at the moment. Would you still join in, Paul? Just trying to think of anything else we got. All right. Looking good. The market's it's pretty much doing nothing at the moment. You can see that. We'll just go to an intraday chart. Just go to 5. You can see that 5 minute. That actually not looking too bad there, guys. Just you can see we've had that initial thrust up. We've had a bit of contraction lower, and we retested that low around 559.06, say, for whatever that low is. Yeah, 06. Starting to build. That could easily, if we push up through, say, 22, thereabouts, we could just have a bit of a rally into the close. So we'll see how we go. All right, then. But we'll see how we go. We could just maybe a couple of shortened sessions, one day, 30 minutes, and then 30 minutes. Yeah. So it'd be good. It'd be interesting actually. We can just jump in and look at some of the European sessions and see how it goes. Take a bit of a different view, some FX as well. Now, all right. So if there's nothing else to, just remember that meetup. So what we'll probably do is with the meetup group. So we've got quite a few on that group. We're going to put out, like I said earlier on, we're going to do a presentation for the group, because there's been quite a few people have been asking us when the next meetup will be, and we'll get that organised, do a nice little presentation. It's mainly on technicals and price action and price structure, what we look at. I know a lot of you probably been through it before, but there'll be a bit more info on why we do things and why we're looking at maybe a bit of psychology behind things, and what we look at. So there's been a bit of demand there from the meetup group. I keep forgetting I'm looking the wrong way. A bit of demand there, so we'll get something organised, and then what we'll do is just put it up to I'll put up an alert probably of the details, because the meetup group will get it through our group anyway. We'll email the database there, let them know, but we want to put it through the app, so they'll want them just to download the app and they can go straight through there. It's just the easiest way. So if there's anyone you might think that might be interested, it's just let them know. That'd be great. And so we'll look at finishing the stream there today. I'm not sure about next Thursday how we'll run it, but I'll let you know on Monday. We might even just do 2 to start with and see what sort of traction we get at night, and then just go from there. But we'll talk about it then. Yeah, like I said, if you like what you see, it'd be great if you can leave us a like at the end of the stream. If you know some people that might be interested in what we talk about, just let them know, pass the word. It's always good, always helps. And just keep an eye out for what we've been talking about, the meetup and the night stream. But yeah, thanks very, very much for joining us, guys. If you've got any questions from here, if there's any suggestions on Paul always emails me across to set up, support@tradesetup.com.au. It's great. I really appreciate it, because we have a good old chat sometimes. But feel free to send us through some, if there's any questions you may have on what we're doing, if you're following the alerts, if you got the app, and you've got a question on it, just send the questions through to support@tradesetup.com.au, and we'll answer those. Or you can just put it up on the I think it's the YouTube. You can put up some notes on there if you like any questions, and we'll get back to you there. So thanks for joining us, guys. We'll be back in on Monday at 12:30. So we'll see you then. Cheers. Bye.